In this lesson today, we're going to look at the impact of the slave trade on Africa. We often think of the consequences for immigration into America and maybe the economic impact on Britain of slavery, but not necessarily on Africa itself. So, our first lesson is, part of the lesson is retrieval, conditions on the Middle Passage, straightforward, a whole raft of examples that one could choose to illustrate that. If we can aim for students to have at least three descriptions of conditions. Africa was central to the trade. Why? If you recall, Africa had the manpower, Africa had the people, Africa had the need for manufactured goods. Perfect combination for people who are prepared to take the risk of exporting goods to Africa. It's ideal for those who are prepared to deal in slavery, and then for the African leaders who are prepared to participate in rounding up slaves and selling them on themselves. There is money to be made. So, a high literacy content in this particular lesson. Read the story of the impact of slavery on Africa. As students read each paragraph, I want the point of each paragraph summarized on the left, and then the content summarized in one or two bullet points on the right. Look at sources A and B, write a short description of the message of each source. Then consider the provenance, the nature, the origin and the purpose of each of the sources. Explain how these sources would have been used to persuade people into believing that slavery was justified. And then some scholarship. The book Capitalism and Slavery by Eric Williams. Read through the summary and tell me the reasons for the slave trade, and this will build upon the work that students have already done. We've looked at the motivations behind the British Empire, we've looked at the accounts of Mr. Grab-a-lot. We can now back this up with some academic research. What was the impact then of the slave trade on Africa? Work your way through. The format again students are familiar with, and tasks 1, 2 and 3 at the bottom. Next lesson, the interpretations of the empire. Was it good or was it bad?